Hi everybody, you are about to see a flip through of this video, and I just wanted to let you know that it will be in my shop today, Friday, February 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, on to the flip through. Hi everybody, this is Diane. I am so happy to be able to show you the first of the 3 Heidi journals today. This one measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it has a 2-inch spine, has 3 signatures sewn in with a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. And instead of doing bead dangles, I made a tassel to hang on the spine. It's got bits of lace and fabric and string and ribbon. And you can take it off if you want to. It's on a hoop that comes apart, comes open. But it shouldn't be in your way. Now, this is a vintage children's book, and it's vintage, like I just said, so it's got some little digs and little stains on it. There was a deep dig here, like a puncture here, so I covered that with this pretty embroidered trim. And I did add, this is a modern cotton trim with loops on it, and this is a vintage pom-pom. And I put this pretty calico fabric on the spine. I wanted the spine colors to be golden yellow and brown, basically. And there's a little bit of green here and here, and a little bit of green on the tassel. And the back is the same picture. And then to keep it closed, hold it closed, because it's just about right. It pops up just a tiny bit, but if you start putting things in it, it will expand. So to hold it closed, I used this beige elastic, and I sewed on this vintage brown and golden yellow floral applique. So that just slips on and holds it closed. I don't have my packet of goodies to go along with this together yet. I'll include some scraps of the cut-off papers, the scrapbook papers that I used. And I didn't have a lot of Heidi ephemera, but I will include some things. And look at all these flowers, and there are some butterflies in there and leaves that were die cut. I did some, and then my granddaughter Layla was down here with me yesterday, and I gave her scraps, and I gave her my flower die cut or dies, and she just cut. So I'll include some of those in your packet. So let's take a look inside. I put scrapbook paper on the end papers, and I used this vintage book plate, and it had someone's name on it right here, so I just stamped this label and cut it out and glued it there. And there's a little bit of trim here, and this is a vintage trim. And I have pockets on the front of the signatures out of vintage hankies, and I put them on cardstock. I used some Stampin' Up! Scrapbook paper in this one, which was double-sided. And the digitals that I used weren't anything that had anything to do with Heidi, but they're just digital pages, random digital pages that I had already printed in my stash. And so I just chose some that I thought went well. And then yesterday I purchased a Mrs. Coggs Crafts set of Heidi images that were used to illustrate various Heidi stories throughout the years. So I included some Heidi cards in here. All right, so now this is a vintage handkerchief, vintage eyelet, and a vintage embroidered trim here. And I took this from a vintage book called Hans of the Alps. And I cut these children out. So instead of Hans, and I forgot what her name was, but I'm calling them Heidi and Peter. And this is taken out of this book, just this quote: "We are going to the summer pasture." And I put this vintage crochet piece on it. This is a Anna Griffin cardstock piece, and I stamped on the back. And I took some of the images from this book. They were just some black and white drawings like this, and used a few of them to embellish throughout the book. Vintage ledger here, colored lined paper, stationery, vintage stationery. This is one of the digitals that I had. So I had a bunch of these botanical pages, and I'm not sure, but I think they were from Tailor Made Journals. And so I used one in each signature, and I have had enough printed that I can do that for all 3 books. I did some stamping. This is a really fun goat here, Stampin' Up! Goat, I believe. I have a page of vellum in each signature. This one is a botanical vellum. Wrapping paper, vintage, and then this is a vintage playing card with this young girl at a water fountain. It's not really a fountain, but it collects water. And there's just a folded piece back there. A ledger, Edith Holden page, and then another colored lined paper. These are some of the die cuts that I had done with the leaves and the butterflies. And this is one of the digitals that I chose. There is a page of from a scrapbook paper cardstock that had these strips that I cut out, and I was able to do some embellishing with them. So I made little pockets here, and then one of the circles from that same paper collection, I cut that bee out. And in the top pocket here, I have this 1956 little appointment book page, August 1956, and then this very old bridge score sheet. I just folded that up and tucked that in there. And what else was in there? I think this card? No, that card wasn't in there. I don't think these were in there. Maybe. You can move them around however you want to. But I will tell you that this is from a set of German cards that was produced by a German pasta company called, I forgot, and I'm not sure where the cards are right now, but they produced a bunch of different card collections, and most of them were circus cards, I guess. And I Googled it and saw the pictures of the circus cards, and they were in bright colors. But this, it must have been from a collection of fairy tales, because this is the Frog Prince and the Princess. And since Swiss people use the Dutch or the German language, I put those cards in here. Here's a little note paper. It says to do. Now, I wanted to use a lot of neutral tones because of the cover. But as you can see, I did use a lot of color also. This is one of the Mrs. Coggs images and another of the Stampin' Up! Pages. And I just put this vintage trim on the edge here. I did these on a video or another pocket just like it. So it's just a piece of cardstock and this digital strip. And I stamped on the background of a piece of cardstock and put this image on of Heidi eating her meal at grandfather's house. Mulberry paper, and then this was an embossed piece that I had made. Now on this page, I just added several pieces of ephemera, most of it's vintage, and I did that on this page and the center page of every signature. So you'll get a collection of vintage items that you can remove and use them throughout the book. You can glue a picture down here or right on that page. This is a Pioneer Woman trim. I did not find these trims at Walmart, but I found them at walmart.com. So I purchased 6 of them, I think. So I did these on a video also, and I said these were going to be tags, and I put the eyelet and the string in it, and then I don't know what I was thinking, but I glued it down as a pocket. So there it is. Maybe I'll use them as tags in the other 2 journals. This is just a vintage note card. that you can open up and write on. It's an old Hallmark card with sweet bluebirds. And this is one of the Heidi images from Mrs. Coggs. This is probably Peter's grandmother. She spent a lot of time with Peter's blind grandmother reading to her. This is from Tailor Made Journals, I know. It's called Woven Textures. And I printed the woven texture designs on the backs of all of the printables that I used. Here's a vintage embroidered piece of trim, a vintage playing card. This was an image from the Little Golden Book version of Heidi. And I just added some cardstock pieces, a die cut flower, and a number. Oh, let's go back here because I didn't talk about these. This is a receipt for Meredith Bottling Works in Towanda, Pennsylvania. And this is a very old envelope, 1915. It has a flag. I guess that was part of the stamp, postal stamp on it. And it's torn. It's just an empty envelope, but you can play with that, make something with it. And this is not vintage, but it's a foiled doily and a vintage alphanumeric stencil. Okay, now where were we? No, we already did this. Oh yes, we were here. So tucked in here, I have another appointment book page. I don't know the year on that. This is a flashcard. I got these at a thrift store and in different colors. And my granddaughter, Layla, she likes to make stickers, and she made some goat stickers. And she sells her stickers to just, acquaintances. So I bought some goat stickers from her. And there's another image of Layla. Not Layla, that's my granddaughter, Heidi. And I don't know who that is. Maybe it's Clara's grandmother. I don't remember. More stamping. It's a delicate little label stamp, and it says date right there. There's a little girl on this end of the stationery. Here's another little piece of vintage trim on the edge of this paper. And this is the other part of the cover of this signature. It's Stampin' Up! Paper. And this is from the Wonder Book, Heidi and her grandfather. And I put it on embossed cardstock. And I put this vintage embroidered trim and some brown ribbon on it, and then some embroidered flowers, appliques. And on the back, I have this lace. It's a sheer nylon with embroidered flowers, and then this lace piece. And this is vintage, and I just made a pocket out of it. And this is a page from a guest book. And a beautiful vintage greeting card with daisies and ferns and some, well, those are the stems of the daisies, but these gold foliage pieces are pretty. It says to get you well, which you could cover that up if you wanted to. Put something here to write on. It's just a beautiful card, and it's from Cameo Rose. Second signature, we have another Stampin' Up! Paper, and this is a handkerchief, again, on white cardstock, and I just sewed in a spiral design all around it, circling in, so that the fabric wasn't just loose. I didn't want to put glue underneath this fabric because it was pretty sheer. And this is a vintage trim, and here's the other Pioneer Woman embroidered trim. Vintage eyelet. And this picture is from Hans of the Alps. We have vintage laundry label here, and just a collage, a vintage label, scrap of fabric, and a daisy applique. Here again we have vintage ledger and an image from the book with some embossed butterflies. Here's stationery for this signature, some pretty flowers and butterflies. I stamped flowers here, and I stamped on this paper a definition of story. And here's the vellum. This is vintage wrapping paper, and we have a flashcard with a Swiss cuckoo clock. I think this was a flashcard set to learn how to tell time. Another botanical page, and this is for false goat's beard or meadowsweet, astilbe. I had some astilbe flowers. They're very fluffy, and mine were pink. Very fluffy flowers. We have ferns on that side. This is a coloring book page. Another digital, and another Mrs. Coggs Heidi image. Another page with the pretty trim on the edge. Clara is learning to walk, and Peter is jealous because Clara's getting all the attention. It was a not very nice episode in the story of Peter, but he came around and felt sorry for his behavior. So on this paper clip, we have this vintage game sheet for a game called Notability, the Name the Song game. This is from a vintage autograph book dated 1930. This is just a copy that I made of a vintage catalog that I had, those shoes. And this is a vintage City Market punch card. It's actually a paper, but I think it was for transportation, I'm not sure. But it was from 1918. And this is a digital of a little card of a flower, and it says beauty. And there's another I keep wanting to say Mrs. Pioneer Woman trim. This image here is also from Hans of the Alps. So we would have Heidi and Peter and the grandfather and maybe Heidi's aunt or Peter's mother. And there is some embroidered trim that's vintage, and this is another of the woven textures. So far I've shown you 2 knitted textures, but there are woven textures in the collection too. And an embroidered cotton fabric there for a tab. This is just a plain yellow tag, and I put some fibers in it. You can embellish that any way you want to, and this is a digital tag. I've had that in my stash for a while. And the other side of the coloring page, a cuckoo clock playing card. And then I did a cluster here with this little digital doll and just various pieces, including some fabric. And this is a Mrs. Coggs image with Heidi and some goats. Some of the flowers that Layla cut. Another stamped image here and here. A pretty trim, pretty vintage lace. And then we have another large card with a Heidi or a Swiss doll. This pretty bias tape that wraps around, and then some felt flowers and a paper flower on top. That's just a dot that I punched out of scrapbook paper, or yeah, cardstock. And I think I showed you the back is just plain. And then here is a quote from Heidi. I heard the sound of fir trees singing, but I can't see where they are, and now I can't hear them anymore. This is grandfather's what did he call it? Hut. I think it was called the Hut, with the Alps behind, and a vintage, or antique actually, postcard. Very pretty. Unused. It does have some writing to Sister somebody from Sister Della, but it wasn't mailed. It's in really good condition. And I took this memo page, it was on a tablet, what to do, or must do, might do, remind me later, and I glued it to a card that you can use for writing. And the third signature, we have another handkerchief. This one is a thicker cotton handkerchief, and I sewed across it in straight lines and added this trim with the yellow crochet. And we have this yellow embroidered trim on the edge, vintage eyelet here. This trim is vintage. Here we have a vintage fold-a-note card. It's a Hallmark card, and I just loved it. I think it's the Partridge in a Pear Tree, but I just thought it went really well with the Heidi things and with the colors of this book. This is a napkin. I don't know if I got this in a Happy Mail or if I actually bought it in a box of stuff, a collection of stuff, maybe from Bob at the flea market. But it's for Heidi's Swiss Village, Mount Hood Freeway, Boring, Oregon. So it's not Swiss, but it has Heidi on it, and she's eating ice cream. And the colors went well with this journal. Here's another definition. This one's for flowers. Some embossed cardstock. These little images were cut from that book of dolls that I made the big card out of. And this is from Mrs. Cog's Heidi collection. I cut that off the page. And here's just a page of a Heidi story. And another, this is a diary page, a 5-year diary. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's from the 1900s, 19 something. Makes it sound old. I'll put that in later. And another little digital doll. Some more die cut flowers. I did some stamping here, and this is a stationery piece, and a Tim Holtz vellum here with botanical images and birds and bugs. This wrapping paper has birds in gilded cages and some bouquets and a playing card. Another botanical book page and a digital of a sampler. And this one is a woven texture. Another one of those pockets with an image. There's Heidi and Peter and the goat, and I know that grandfather packed lunches for them, but Heidi wasn't hungry, and Peter was very hungry, so she let him eat her lunch. And on this page we have another pretty Pioneer Woman trim. I think this is the last page of this that I have. It's a pupil spelling test. And someone had tried to make their pen work. You'll be able to see indentations where they were scribbling with the pen, and then it finally worked. It was red, and there was a big scribble. You can see it on the back there. So I covered it with this flower that was cut from a book. This is a digital. I think that's from KB and Friends. Looks like a library card, and it has a little lamb on it, and this round note paper that's vintage because it has the aging discoloration on it. I should put something more colorful right here, so I will do that. Maybe another one of these little dolls. I'll stick right there. And here is another embellishment I made with that wrapping paper. I love those little children. And this was an image from a little book, one of those little tiny books. And I put it on cardstock and put this embroidered trim on it. So this isn't from the Heidi story, but that could be Peter and his goat, and there's a little horse there. This is a digital of a doll. She looks like she could be Swiss. And 2 Heidi images from Mrs. Coggs. This is a piece of vintage wallpaper. I backed it on cardstock. And then I cut out this beautiful embellishment here that was just the right size to glue this scripture verse on it. I know that Heidi read the Bible to Peter's grandmother, and they discussed the Bible. So I put a Bible verse in here. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Sounds like the perfect scripture for the Heidi stories. I had this tag in my stash with the music already glued to it, so I just added this Mrs. Coggs image here. Again, she's giving Peter her lunch. Embroidered cotton fabric there. And there's a picture of Heidi in her loft bed, looking out the window at the mountains. She loved the mountains. Put a little piece of embroidered trim there, and some of the flowers that Layla cut out. And the last big card, this was opposite the Swiss doll in that little book. So it's about the doll. She's called Little Heidi. She's a doll that is Swiss. An embroidered trim from the Pioneer Woman, and this one is vintage. And then, I just love the way this turned out. I love the font on this Tim Holtz stamp. The future belongs to the curious. And then I had this little flower that was a circle printed on this scrapbook paper. And I punched out this scallop circle to go behind it. And then I punched out a 2.5-inch circle and folded it over the bottom edge. The other half is down here. And I left this part open. So there's a bridge score sheet that slides right in here. And tucks into that. And I just like the way that page looks. I'm going to make more of these belly bands. This is a library pocket that was in the back of the Hans of the Swiss Alps book that I took those black and white pictures from. Nobody took it out, it looks like, because there's no stamping or writing or anything on it. But I used this strip cut from that scrapbook paper. And then this tag, this was the handmade library card that was in it. It's just a index card with the information written on it. And again, no markings because nobody took it out. And 2 more Mrs. Coggs images got tucked in there. And my signature is on the back of that. All right, so I don't think I'll put those Pioneer Woman ribbons in my shop just yet, but I'll plan on getting them put in the shop at the time that I list the other 2 journals. This one is, I should have put it, I always forget at the beginning of the video. This will be hopefully listed on Friday, and it will be Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I will put that in the description. Let me show you, in case you haven't seen. These are the other 2 Heidi journals that are coming. I haven't done much on them yet. I've just made the covers and I cut the pages. And I have just a couple pieces of ephemera made, and that's about it. So I'll work on these next week. But for now, we just have this one, and it'll be in my shop at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, February 20th, 2026. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you will come back to see the next 2 journals. See you then. Have a creative day. Bye.